I fear I need a man.
Hi, my name's Amber. I'm passing the phone to somebody who needs to get laid. It's me. I need to get laid.
I just need some dick.
Woo shop, kangaroo shop, kangaroo shop, kangaroo shop!
Few things have captivated men more than the allure and mystery of the female sex drive. It really is just the Pandora's box of the world. The Pandora's I was gonna say Pandora's bussy. Don't do that, Lauren. Truly the Pandora's box of the world that has beckoned many a question since the dawn of time. Questions such as, how do I get that? How can I have that? And can I have the booba? Ooga. Which eventually leads to other questions like, how often does she like this? Which parts about this does she like the most? And what else do we both like? But I've realized a lot of guys avoid asking questions about this stuff because they think to themselves, there's no way that any girl is going to be interested in the stuff that I want to try. And the reason a lot of women aren't asking these questions is because, well, women just don't initiate sexually. Not as much as men. Which we should. We strongly benefit from it, but that's a conversation for another time. For now, we don't. Many women do have dark, dirty, salacious desires, but we keep them to ourselves. We keep them nice and bottled up to stay ladylike and just impatiently wait for the day that a kind young man comes along, shows us his tender heart, and then gently chokeslams us into the bed. Oh yes. It's true, boys. Girls can be gooners too.
Yeah, cause girls is gooners too.
If you're as internet brained as I am, you may have actually seen a video from fellow YouTuber Shoe on Head called Female Gooners Must Be Stopped. In this piece of absolute cinema, Shoe covers the darkest dredges of female goonery. You will never look at Highland cows the same again. But that's actually not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to be covering just regular goonery. Your average goblin time. Just your standard unholy bedroom activities. And we're going to ask a very important question. Are women as kinky as men? Is it possible that in some areas they may actually be kinkier? And what are women's top reported sexual fantasies? We are going to get deep into this topic's guts, but first, we're going to have to start at first base. There is actually one necessary centerpiece that exists in every fantasy women have. It's actually the heart and soul of all things intimate. And it's pretty simple. Not smelling like ass. See, bad breath doesn't care how many sacrifices you've made for your wife, how much you earn, how tall you are, or whether or not you were an Eagle Scout. It comes for us all indiscriminately. See, I can teach you a lot about what women are attracted to, what they desire, what revs their engine, but sometimes the only difference between she's flirting and she's stepping back is your mouth being a crime scene. That's why I'm excited that today's video is sponsored by Breath Death, the brand behind Crystal Breath, exploding mint crystals that kill bad breath on impact and take your confidence to the next level. These aren't your average mints or gum. There's no endless chewing, no fake ingredients, no perfume masking. Crystal Breath dissolves in seconds and actually kills bad breath at the source. Powered by zinc, these mints attack sulfur compounds in your mouth that cause the stink. So you're not just covering it up, you're killing it. And it keeps you clinically fresh for up to 4 hours. So your mouth isn't just waiting around to be caught with its pants down. They're all natural, fast acting, 0 calories, dentist approved, and pack a powerful peppermint punch that you will not be able to get enough of. And sick. They're really fun to use, and honestly, it's like a party trick that you can share with your friends who may or may not desperately need your help. And because Breath Death is sponsoring my video, they are offering you, my audience, a fantastic deal. When you click the link in the description box down below, or the QR code right here on screen, and subscribe to the 8-tube pack, you will not only get 15% off and free shipping, but an extra 10% off just for watching this video. It is an exclusive deal you are not just going to find anywhere else, so click the link and start your mission against bad breath today. Now, let's get back to the question at hand. Are women bigger gooners than men? So let's just get one thing out of the way right here and now. Women do not have higher sex drives than men. There will be people who try to convince you of this, and I'm sorry, they're just incredibly misinformed and don't understand how testosterone works. Now, a singular woman can absolutely have a higher sex drive than another singular man, but by and large, testosterone is where the horny lives, and men just have buckets loads more of that than we do, so it's just science. But women do have sex drives, and when they use them, they can be freaks, okay? It's just that our sexual interests manifest in a different way than men's do. And when you actually lay it all out, it's actually pretty interesting, which is exactly why we're gonna do that today. And we might be able to finally explain why women read their smut while men watch it.
Watch it. Watch it. Fucking watch it.
But let's get right into the first rabbit hole I jumped into. The first question I explored was, how prevalent is BDSM amongst women? If you don't know what BDSM is, it's basically anything that falls under the umbrella of bondage, domination or discipline, sadism, and masochism. And there is a ton of data on this. Across several sexual studies that I looked into, it looks like anywhere between 40 and 70% of women self-report enjoying BDSM in some variety. So women can be pretty spicy. To get extremely specific, this one study showed that 20% of women enjoy being tied up or doing the tying, 30% enjoy spanking, and around 8% actually full-on go to BDSM parties or dungeons. No, I did not stutter. I said dungeons.
Did I stutter?
Some people pay extra for that. These studies also show that women are significantly more interested in being submissive than men are. Of those women under the BDSM umbrella, about 60% of them report enjoying being dominated or being in a submissive role. So you might be wondering, why? Why do so many women enjoy being manhandled and thrown around and told what to do? Well, because they finally get to turn off their brain. Because finally someone else is making all the decisions. And because there's something kind of hot about someone exercising a bit of authority. But that's enough of me telling on myself. Men may not realize it, but there are a lot of women with a wide range of fantasies. Many researchers actually believe that women have just as many, if not more, sexual fantasies than men. It's just that they're a lot less likely to actually act on them. And that's for a few different reasons. And this is kind of where purity culture and the societal pressure to shame women for every expression of sexual interest they have is kind of ruining the fun for everybody. Most women have spent their entire lives getting called sluts or whores over the most menial thing that it's gotten to a point that a lot of us do not feel comfortable pursuing men sexually or expressing our sexual desires, so it just gets internalized. Well, until it doesn't. I mean, you can only really bottle something up for so long before it becomes a female-dominated $1.5 billion a year industry. Yep, I'm talking about romance books. Women's suppressed sexual fantasies have created a fiction genre that consistently outsells the ever-living life out of every other fictional genre out there. Romance novels outperform sci-fi, fantasy, thrillers, mystery, crime, combined. So what the hell are women writing about in there that's got us all salivating like degenerates? A lot of people are going to tell you it's minotaurs and hockey-playing vampires, and sometimes it is. But honestly, these women aren't actually reading for the blood-red eyes or the cloven hooves or whatever the guy has. It's for the passion and closeness the two characters share, whatever those two characters might be. So I really did a deep dive into what women say is the hottest fantasy they have, the thing that they look for the most when picking out romance novels. And between melting candles and blindfolds and entire swing sets, the number one hottest fantasy that almost every woman seems to express is a loyal partner who loves her. Who knew? According to Leitenberg and Henning, 1995, in the Journal of Sex Research, women's most common fantasy themes involved simply feeling intensely desired or wanted, being pursued, or being irresistible to their partner. Spoiler alert, men actually reported that as their top fantasies too. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, okay, easy enough. Of course I'm attracted to my partner. My body literally shows her that I'm attracted to her. But when women write romance novels, you're never going to hear Asher propositioning Priscilla with, hey, you got time for a quickie? They're looking for Gomez and Morticia. Gomez doesn't just get right to business with Morticia. He savors that woman. He really smells the wine before he even starts to take a sip. You know what I mean? All right, I'll just say it. Foreplay, people! What I have learned is that if you could get a woman to genuinely believe that she is beautiful, she will be a complete freaking freak after that. So it goes, make her feel loved and safe and beautiful, and then the second highest most reported fantasy is power dynamics. Like I said, a lot of women report wanting to be dominated. Now, know your audience, don't just try this on anybody. But for the women who do enjoy this dynamic, it's not about surrendering power, because it's still consensual. It's about shifting the power dynamic so she can unload cognitively. A lot of women get what's called decision fatigue. They make so many decisions and so many choices that they just want to not. You tell her what to do. But also because when done correctly, this deeply intensifies the feeling of being desired that so many women crave. It puts a certain focus and deliberate attention on only her that makes her feel exclusively wanted, which plays into two of the other most commonly reported fantasies from women. One being emotional intensity, and two, being chosen over others. And these two desires have been consistent forever. Evolutionary psychologists have consistently found a link between women wanting to be exclusive and chosen over other potential partners and an increase in their sexual arousal. They want to feel like the top dog, man! And I've got to imagine this is even kind of similar in poly relationships, where even if they allow you to date and sleep with other people, they still want you focused in and locked in on them while you're together. So top female fantasies so far: being loved, being chosen, being exclusive. What's our next top fantasy? Well, role-playing. My entire Dungeons and Dragons audience is just like, no, but seriously, pay attention, you guys might actually shine here. Because I even dove so deep onto this subject that I even made a list of women's top role-playing archetypes. So once again, this is where we see power dynamics come into play. Because preferred role-playing scenarios usually involve professional versus civilian, structured authority versus the rule breaker, order versus surrender. But another one is the stranger or first encounter roleplay, where you pretend that you either don't know each other or this is your first time meeting. There's the rescuer protector fantasy, where you need to save her from something and prioritize her. Or the forbidden relationship, where it's not supposed to happen. Women love this stuff because it's narrative driven, and a lot of women's deepest fantasies are context-based. And when you look really deeply at them, a lot of these fantasies are being desired and craved, usually by a dominant figure. So you might be wondering, Lauren, if all women really want is a kind, loving, loyal man, why do so many romance novels end up looking like that? Well, for the same reason men can't watch normal smut anymore either. It's because 90% of the time we're choosing smut over each other. We're not communicating as humans, and instead we're just letting the capitalist rage bait factors designed to sell the smut in the most dramatic way take over. That's why all of your smut is like stepsisters and shit, and all of ours is like ogres and dragons and shit. Until men and women learn to communicate again, we will never have nice things. Or at least the nice things we have won't quickly snowball into degenerative slop as fast. Because at the end of the day, between the whips and chains and step siblings and lacrosse playing werewolves, the heart of what men and women's core desires are actually incredibly similar. Across every single study, men and women report the same innate desires. The desire to be wanted, the desire to be chosen, the desire to have their attraction validated, and the desire to feel safe enough to let go. We just clearly have different ways of expressing and engaging in that. So I've marinated a lot in this at this point, and ultimately I do think that I've kind of come up with a reasonable solution for how men and women can tap into each other's innermost hedonism. So without further ado, here it is, the Dadvocate's formal list of how to best goon together. After all, a couple that edges together stays together. That's what I always say. I've never said that. No, but seriously, I have found that men and women work best sexually together when men understand that context, not just physical stimulus, is what actually fuels a woman's desire. When women recognize that arousal doesn't just self-generate, you have to actually communicate what you want. When both of them understand that fantasy is a language, not an obligation, and this keeps the pressure off of everybody. And from everything that I've learned across everything that I've studied, the healthiest couples don't kink shame. It doesn't mean they hop on board with absolutely every idea their partner suggests. No one ever does. It just means that they don't make their partner feel like absolute ass for suggesting it. What matters is that fantasies should always be treated as collaborative invitations, not ultimatums, and definitely not silent expectations. And the more I researched this, the more I started to wonder how many people are out there having needlessly bad sex because they just don't know what to ask or mention. Women still aren't figuring out that men aren't mind readers, and men still aren't figuring out that women aren't just sexual vending machines that dispatch arousal on command. I can tell y'all right now, the happiest women with their deepest sexual fantasies fulfilled are the ones who literally speak it into existence. No waiting around, no passive-aggressive hints, no tests. And the happiest men with access to the deepest depths of their woman's sexuality are the ones who figured out that sex isn't just about friction. It's about atmosphere. And the people having the most insane coitus of all time are the ones who simply learned how to work together to maximize their experience. After all, it's called a freak show, not a freak solo, people. Anyway, I think that's about all I've got to say on that one. While it may not be safe to say that women want sex as much or as often as men, it's definitely safe to say that we have incredibly similar fantasies and desires. It's also safe to say that both men and women are capable of becoming degenerate gooners. Anyone can goon, just as our forefathers always wanted. But you've made it this far, I really want to know what you guys think. Was this video even remotely informative and entertaining, or do you hate everything that I said and hate me and hope I stub my toe? Was there anything I forgot to mention that's worthy of a shout? And are there any other subjects that you would love to see me do another deep dive on? Since you've made it this far, you definitely owe it to yourself to spank that like button, gently choke the subscribe if you're new here, and hey, maybe even tie up that notification bell if you want to know when I'm live. And if you need even more Dadvocate, I highly recommend joining either my Patreon or YouTube membership, where you will get early access to videos, ad-free members-only live, members-only content, access to the Discord, and so many other awesome things. If you don't know, when I'm not making YouTube videos, I'm actually traveling capital to advocate for family court reform, really getting my boots on the ground and doing something that I've always believed in. So your support absolutely helps me do that. But for now, that's about all I've got for you. Thank you so much again to Breath Death for sponsoring this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!